The Blood of Dawnwalker looks quite intriguing from former Witcher creators. It's a single-player open-world dark fantasy setting set in the 14th century of Europe. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the release trailer, I saw some very Romanian-esque looking like villages and castles. So straight up fell at home being born there myself. You gotta play as Cohen, a newly turned Dawnwalker, a human by day, vampire by night, and you have 30 days and nights to save your family in the Vale of Sangora. So there's some sort of time pressure upon you. From what I've heard, though, it is time progressing in terms of if you do main quests, that progresses the time, and you should have enough time to do side hustles, side quests, explorations, and whatnot. So there's definitely an urge of decision and time with your main questing, if I understood this correctly. Could also be that you have a time frame, and you have to do limited choices and see where you want to go before the time is up and the conclusion happens. So maybe there's a lot of replayability to the game in that sense. I'm also excited to see what the tech will bring because it's done in Unreal Engine 5. From what I've read, there's some complaints in terms of combat mechanics and how it looks like because the camera was too zoomed in and it's now a little bit further away for more visibility and maneuverability. And it looks like that there's a mix of war going on. Black Death is quite a thing. And also that vampire starts to step into the open. And that the ancient vampire Xante and his blood guards also appearing. Maybe this Xante is one of the antagonists or main antagonists of the whole spiel. I find the premise interesting between a human guy during daytime and a vampiric guy during nighttime, probably giving you different approaches in terms of playstyle, sneak in and whatnot. And pretty intrigued to traverse through the Vale of Sangora myself and explore the worlds. Curious how much fantasy there is, how much historical accuracy to the locations are, or inspirations, but I think it's rather a fantasy setting and story than something actually historical accurate there. But overall, I'm very excited for this sandbox narrative experience, and let's see what kind of decisions we will do when we play it. But let's have a look at the gameplay trailer and then also some more footage that we have over here for in which direction it goes, and then maybe we're gonna have a look at the Steam page as well. Link as always for those watching this later in the description down below to the game. Bandai Namco. Quite interesting that Bandai Namco teamed up with them and published. Rebel Wolves. It's actually story-ish. Yeah, I mean, it's very inspired by medieval times.
Monsters have always been here, watching from the shadows.
One quick moment. This definitely should have 4K. There we go. Way better. We want subtitles.
And when we
Let's give you
were
subtitles.
at our weakest, they came out into the light.
Rebel
We
Wolves,
feared for our
aka
lives.
Real, CD Projekt Red.
We should have feared for our souls instead.
Gives me straight up Orthodox Church vibes. I don't know. I'm branded by the Orthodox Church. I'm getting PTSD. Forgive my youth in Romania. Nice blood moon
Vampires
with
didn't
two
come
moons.
to kill us.
Jeebus.
No, they came to rule.
Yeah, look at those Slavic vibe structures.
To turn us into mindless, docile cattle. Not me, though. They tried to change me into one of them. But I became something else instead.
Oh, nice traversal at night.
Their worst nightmare.
I wonder what kind of vampires they will be. Will they be the typical, we cannot traverse running water, we're, you know, injured by the sunlight?
Trapped between the two worlds.
It's a Romanian blade.
Fighting to even the score. Fighting to understand the evil behind it all.
He is out there, watching, seeping into you, growing.
Excuse me, 2026 it comes out? Want to chat it in the comments if you think it gets also some Blood and Vines vibes from this. Am I the only one? I think I saw some Romanian grass earlier. Shut up, Golden. Dawnwalker coming 2026 to Xbox, PC, Xbox. Oh, it looks like an Xbox exclusive, but that means also it's on the Game Pass probably day one. So that's a big plus. Let's see.
The Witcher series really did well to capture that sense of exploring a brutal fantasy world as a protagonist who knew how to get their hands dirty. But in the upcoming dark fantasy RPG The Blood of Dawnwalker, a new game from a team of former creatives behind The Witcher 3, it leans further into a morally ambiguous setting as you decide which path its protagonist will take. One that maintains his human form and ideals, or one that embraces newfound powers as a half-vampire. Just ahead of Gamescom 2025, we got an extended walkthrough of The Blood of Dawnwalker from the devs at Rebel Wolves that put a spotlight on the parallel playstyles of human and vampire action RPG gameplay. So far, The Blood of Dawnwalker is putting forth some strong concepts for its take on a dark fantasy RPG that's...
Mihai? Dude, are you Mihai? That's straight up, straight up Romanian name. From the developers that brought you an RPG about playing an outsider in a medieval fantasy setting comes an RPG about playing an outsider in a medieval fantasy setting. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna embrace the vampiric powers for the first playthrough, 100%.
all about navigating two different worlds in cunning fashion.
Tobias!
Part of what makes vampires so compelling as horror characters,
I mean, doesn't this look straight up like Count Dracula's castle?
is that they can be tragic figures. Having to contend with supernatural forces that potentially put them at odds with humanity is a concept that can be great to explore in video games.
That is true, and it also overall looks quite stunningly.
That idea is at the heart of The Blood of Dawnwalker.
I am life. I am death. I am everything in between.
Set in a supernatural version of 14th century Europe, The Blood of Dawnwalker focuses on Cohen and his vendetta against a powerful coven of vampires. Century Europe.
Was that emblem on that
focuses
king?
On Cohen.
That cross with the two moons? I mean, the moons things are normally a Turkish thing, an Ottoman thing. But this must be fantasy setting. I don't think there's like historical accuracy over here, but definitely gives me some Romanian times coalition with the Ottomans vibes. What I'm getting here. Definitely confirms Carpathian settings, because around this time we had many different ethnicities, including Saxons.
And his vendetta against a powerful coven of vampires that seek to take over Europe with violence and even some old-fashioned medieval-era politicking.
Whoa!
After Cohen has a violent encounter with the vampire leader Brentius during the abduction of his family, the protagonist develops a special strain of vampirism that transforms him into a half-vampire that can navigate the increasingly blurry line between human and supernatural.
Things will be different now. For all of you.
Our extended preview focused on a quest called A Monk and a Saint.
Let's look at the and the interface. Top there is the day and the time cycle. So it feels like we have a little bit of time pressure. Rescue family, 22 days left. Okay. I wonder if that time thing moves forward every time we do like a main quest. Behind me hidden is the auto action, top, left, right, bottom. We have an XP bar, HP bar, stamina bar. Okay, very simple. I like clear slides, clear interfaces. Quest things, I hope we can take away. I'd rather have like the journal that you open up for quest thingies.
Which saw Cohen travel to the settlement of Svartrow to uncover a hidden tomb, and the town's more nefarious side.
Wait, are you Mihai?
This quest features a round of combat sequences against some foes capable of
So what do we see here? We have some golden symbols on the left side. There's an attack symbol and a block symbol. Reminds me of Witcher 1 combat, where the icons told you when to click next. So I think it'll be a similar thing here to wait for the animation to be over in terms of like cycling in attacks. Let's go back here again.
Hi.
This quest
To show
features a
you what I
round
mean,
of
they're
combat
blocking
sequences
down,
against some
blocking
foes
left.
capable of withstanding
Okay, so we have attack
Cohen's abilities
directions.
in both his human and
Blocking
vampire
right.
forms. It initially seemed standard
Interesting.
fare for an RPG quest, but where Dawnwalker
Do we need the subtitles? No, we don't.
differs is in how the quest can change depending on the time of day and which form you take on to complete it. The leading narrative hook carrying players forward is the month-long time limit, giving Cohen only a limited period to rescue his family. You can largely advance the day at your choosing, and Dawnwalker doesn't necessarily pressure you to make some time-specific choices. That said, their
Very good.
approach to progression will very much influence the course of events in Cohen's journey, especially with which side of Cohen is taking the lead. Time is essentially a resource that you can spend with each passing quest and activity, and depending on what you do and when you do it. The developers gave us a run of the preview's main quest from two different sides, as both Cohen's human and vampire forms. When playing as the latter, Dawnwalker shifts to a stealth action playstyle, where the protagonist must avoid detection from guards and civilians. Cohen's vampire abilities are also unleashed in this state, allowing players to walk on walls, teleport, and use blood abilities and vampiric claws to cut down foes.
Whoa.
And yes, you'll also be able to drain the blood from humans, foe and non-combative alike, for stealth takedowns or outright executions. I was impressed by how much the action and
Nice.
pacing looked like a mix between The Witcher's grand scope and the immersive sim element of Dishonored when seeing Cohen in his vampire form. You can truly leap across
Nice
rooftops
combination
and
with
get the
Dishonored,
jump on
yeah.
some foes, which was very satisfying to see.
Better be quiet.
However, it shows how players will have to grapple with some moral choices, as Cohen, who needs to feed to maintain his vampire abilities during the night, must do. While you can feed on animals to offer some temporary relief, the larger payout comes from human targets. The vampire form looks to present a more direct and action-heavy approach to engaging with the quests. However, Cohen's human form presents an interesting contrast by focusing more on investigation and tactical methods, because
Fair enough, fair enough. That's a very convoluted way of saying we have timed events quests that are influenced by the player's actions. I mean, Vampire sucks. That's exactly what they do after dark. I think what I wanted to say is that you decide how to let time progress and not that the game it pressurizing or pushing it onto you.
Cohen can blend in with others in his human form, there are far more opportunities to engage with the different characters and uncover pathways for success.
Did I just saw a dude with two horns standing just randomly on the middle of the streets? Either that's a Kunari, shout out to Dragon Age, or the people just accept it. Also, look at his clothing. Man, I think my grandfather had some vest like this. The entire story is a time event? Yeah, you have a month time to rescue family. You probably have to decide in terms of if you do quest A, B, or C, because time will progress and you won't be able to do other things if you go this direction. I could imagine. But in the end, we have to try it and see once we have some proper gameplay at hands on ourselves.
Without the need for bloodshed.
Perhaps the crypt was built over or sealed away?
It was also fascinating to see how the characters react to knowing the vampires are now in control of the region, and that life is, understandably, far worse off. When things pop off, combat shows the stark differences in Dawnwalker's playstyles. I adopted the tactical action approach, which feels like a blend of The Witcher 3's
Oh my
versatile
God.
swords and sorcery combat flow, combined with the calculated nature of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's swordplay. It presents an opportunity for players to feel powerful, where they have to exploit vulnerabilities. In his human form, Cohen relies on his swordplay, along with gadgets and hex spells, to overcome some enemies. Similar to the Outer Worlds, you can pull up a tactical menu to target an enemy to execute attacks that can stun foes or deliver killing blows. Combat gets a bit more hectic when in Cohen's vampire form, which sees him unleash his supernatural blood-based abilities. In addition to his sword, Cohen's massive claws can tear into enemy defenses, and you can pull off combat finishers where he can lay into foes. However, Dawnwalker still presents some challenges with elite foes, such as the human blood guards who have armor and weapons to stand up to Cohen's vampiric abilities, along with some more dangerous monsters and the rival vampires that can overpower the protagonist if you're not careful. An interesting detail that the developers highlighted during the presentation was that players...
Oh no, KCD Combat already got to give it up. It looked like earlier that you have directional combat, left, right, top, bottom. Same with the blocking, left, right, top, bottom. Meaning that we're getting... I would rather see a amount of blades kind of combat style than Kingdom Come. Because Kingdom Come has like a 5-directional combat, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, the premise is quite similar.
Players could make a beeline to the primary goal of the game early on. Think of how players might try to defeat Ganon in the opening hours of The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. However, the team stated that it'll be a challenge to pull off, as the core game is all about powering up Cohen with new gear and abilities. Still, I'll be curious to see if it's possible for players to clear the campaign early on in Cohen's journey.
I could see there a difference in difficulty setting, that easier difficulty settings take maybe away the combat direction, but rather just have you block whenever you need to block and dodge, so you don't have to worry about directions as well. But maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be challenging. There's a very Saxon Streets. Asks, Cormaker, guess what I was on Steam watching suggested game queue and I found your VOD for Titan Quest 2. Steam says it's live, but it's not. All the VODs that you see there are looped videos. There's no such thing as live per se on Steam. Steam is very odd when it comes to that after dark. But yeah, I am live on the Titan Quest 2 websites, on their sites. There's my video in the loop for Titan Quest 2. Yeah, yep. Big thanks and shout out to THQ Nordic, by the way. I'm happy that you guys liked my quality of the content that I produce. I'm guessing the influence is mainly in the western bits of modern Poland that had Teutonic influence.
I wish we had more of an opportunity to see what the larger world would be like, but so far, the Blood of Dawnwalker captures that feeling of navigating two different worlds as a half-vampire, which is a very compelling premise for a role-playing game. Compared to The Witcher 3 or developer Dontnod's Vampire, The Blood of Dawnwalker captures that open-ended freeform nature of classic role-playing games like Gothic 1 and 2, which is exciting to see.
Nice.
Hopefully the full game will be able to deliver on the concept of a vampire RPG with some world-changing stakes. For more on IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2025,
I hope that we're gonna see a lot of story-heavy decisions that we can do throughout the game, and that it will lay out some gravitas, and we're gonna see some changes in the worlds depending on what we do in the game itself. But yeah, the pun, of course, they had to make that one. It's okay. Vampire was better. I had to say that I didn't like the combat of Vampire. Exactly. Combat was meh, but storyline was cool. From what I've tested it. But I also just played it for, I think, 3 hours or so. Max. Something like that. But yeah. Blood of the Dawnwalker looks quite promising, I have to say. And I'm pretty happy to dive into this adventure with you guys as well when it comes out. Do we have a price tag for it already? We don't. Coming soon. It's gonna be next year. And we're definitely gonna visit back when we know more about Dawnwalker.